are Basin trusted, Basin proud. This is ABC Big 2 News at 10.
Now at 10, holiday travel woes. Tonight marks one of the busiest travel times of the year, and some travelers are spending more time at the airport than with their families. Staffing issues tied to COVID-19 are forcing some airlines to cancel hundreds of flights.
They took our pilot and gave it to another flight because they needed somebody on a flight, but we were getting ready to board in 10 minutes. Like, how do you do that?
From cancellations to long lines, passengers are trying to make the most of it. Good evening, I'm Rob Tuke. Thank you for joining us tonight.
And I'm Stephanie Martinez. New data tonight shows more than 6,000 flights were canceled this holiday weekend. ABC's Christine Sloan shows us how passengers are holding up after these cancellations.
A busy day in store today on the roads and in the skies as Americans begin to make their way home. Some people who tried to make the trip on Christmas Day ran into some headaches.
Where are you guys heading?
Michigan.
And was your flight canceled?
It was.
Yes. So what now?
So we rebooked.
Yeah, we scrambled.
United, Delta, JetBlue, and American grounding hundreds of flights. The airline citing staff shortages amid a surge in cases of the Omicron variant. Weather also playing a factor.
I mean, there's really nothing you can do about it. It's one of those things that's out of your control. So you just take a deep breath and try to find the best alternative.
There were also headaches on the road. In Minnesota, a crash involving dozens of cars forced the closure of an interstate. In Oakland, California, crews worked to clean up mud and debris washed down from the El Dorado and Appleburn Scar.
At this time, it might be best just to delay travel until we can get a better evaluation of most of our routes.
The TSA expects to screen a total of 30 million passengers during the period from December 20th to January 3rd. Travel experts say if you're driving to your destination, you're best off leaving before noon. The worst times to head out are 1 to 7 p.m. Christine Sloan, ABC News, New York.
And taking a live look tonight from our Odessa Skycam, we saw some strong winds this weekend in the basin. It also made traveling on the roads a little tough. Here's Chase with the weather.
Now your Big 2 forecast first with Chief Meteorologist Chase Menendez.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, Rob. Very, very windy conditions out there. You can actually see them blowing our cloud cover off from west to east, moving around really quickly, too. That indicates high-speed winds in the upper parts of the atmosphere. But because of the wind direction coming in out of the west, it's pulling in a lot of very warm air. 84 degrees our high temperature today here in Odessa Midland, way above average to say the least. And look at these winds, 44 miles per hour for Odessa Midland. Guadalupe Pass's observation site got knocked out by an 81 mile per hour wind gust. But I'll take a look at whether or not these winds continue coming up. First, back to you, Stephania.
Thank you, Chase. The coronavirus pandemic is causing health experts to watch cruise ships closely. In the past week, COVID-19 cases forced 3 cruise ships to return to their port in South Florida. The latest in Miami, where 48 passengers on the Carnival cruise tested positive. The ship, which was headed to Aruba, had to cancel its trip after denying entry for 2 Caribbean islands.
And the virus is having its effect still on the NBA. Normally, Christmas Day means games all day. But the star-studded tradition was toned down this year with 127 players having entered COVID-19 protocol this month alone. Now, NBA Commissioner Adam Silver is determined to continue without pause.
No plans right now to pause the season. We've, of course, looked at all the options. But frankly, we're having trouble coming up with what the logic would be behind pausing right now.
And the NBA and the league's players' associations are in a round of talks to reduce the 10-day quarantine to just 6 days. And with hospital staff stretched thin in many places, the CDC is changing its guidelines.
It's shortening the amount of time vaccinated healthcare workers need to isolate themselves after testing positive for COVID-19. Here's ABC's Phil Leafoff with the details.
The highly contagious Omicron variant continues to surge across the country. Hospitalizations and deaths are also on the rise, with the heaviest toll on the unvaccinated.
So we are seeing unvaccinated Americans getting infected at very high rates, and that's the group I'm worried about, because that's the group that's going to end up in the hospital.
Dr. Anthony Fauci says studies show the variant is less severe, but stressed we don't want to get complacent.
If you have many more people with a less level of severity, that might kind of neutralize the positive effect of having less severity when you have so many more people.
New York doubling its daily positive case numbers in just a week. Ohio recording 443 deaths in just 24 hours. Florida reporting more than 125,000 cases last week. That's up from 29,000 the week before. Across the country, long lines for testing.
Within the last 7 days, our testing has quadrupled from the week before.
Pediatric hospitalizations are surging too in New York and other parts of the country. Ohio, Texas, Pennsylvania hit particularly hard. According to the American Academy of Pediatrics, 170,000 children testing positive for COVID-19 just last week, an increase of nearly 28% in just 2 weeks.
It's so important for those that are eligible and around, especially our children under 5 who are yet to get the vaccine, to be vaccinated, to really cocoon them, protect them, especially as we're entering this surge.
Frontline workers stretched thin, leading the CDC to issue an alert outlining contingency plans for rising cases. Now recommending vaccinated and boosted healthcare workers who test positive can return to work after 7 days if they're not experiencing symptoms. If staffing shortages and hospitalizations reach crisis levels, the CDC recommends those same workers should return to work after 5 days. But the general public is still being advised to isolate for 10 days after a COVID diagnosis. Phil Lipoff, ABC News, New York.
And developing now at 10, the investigation into a Christmas Day house fire in Pennsylvania. 40-year-old Eric King, his 2 sons, and their 2 dogs were killed in the fire in Quakertown. Now, the mother and the oldest son made it out with minor injuries, but investigators say flames started near the family's Christmas tree. And tonight, more than $350,000 have been raised on GoFundMe to support their family in this time.
Across Texas tonight, an officer-involved shooting in Austin is under investigation. Police say officers got calls of a man waving a gun in the air late Friday night. It was in the same area where a 2-car crash just happened. Police left the car crash to find a man who wasn't that far away. They ordered him to drop his gun, but he didn't. He was shot.
The individual did not comply with those commands and continue to advance on the officer's position, holding the rifle. And at that time, the officer fired 1 round from the shotgun, striking the individual, who went down to the ground from the injury.
The man was taken to the hospital with serious but non-life-threatening injuries.
And in Dallas, the wife of conspiracy theorist and InfoWars host Alex Jones was arrested Christmas Eve. Deputies took Erica Jones into custody on a domestic violence charge and resisting arrest. Jones said the arrest stemmed from a medication imbalance. Now, Alex Jones was in the spotlight this week after suing to block subpoenas that were issued by lawmakers over the January 6th insurrection at the U.S. Capitol. Well, Christmas has come and gone, but leftovers are here to stay for now.
Well, tonight, health experts say there are numbers of things you can do not to get sick this upcoming week. ABC's Adam Cardona has those tips on food safety.
You got to understand that these are products of meat products or plant products that still can grow organisms in them.
Health Department Director Josh Ramirez says organisms can already be found in products before cooking them, and that's why preparing, handling, and storing food properly is key to avoid getting sick.
E. coli, which is the most common one that people tend to forget, which is something that comes in the meat products, of course, and it grows pretty fast under the right conditions.
He says one of the conditions for organisms such as E. coli to grow is food temperature.
It is when it becomes dangerously high in numbers, when it reaches the room temperature over 3 hours, then it starts growing and reproducing that the body cannot handle and process that. That's when you become sick.
He recommends keeping foods under 38 degrees Fahrenheit or at 140 degrees Fahrenheit or higher, and adds that there are ways to store hot foods in the refrigerator to avoid any problems.
The problem is when you put a huge pot that is about 7 or 8 inches deep with the food items in the refrigerator. You need to understand that in order for the cooling to reach the center, it may take about 8 hours if it's hot already.
Ramirez says using shallow pans to store foods in the refrigerator helps cool the food faster, making it safer to eat later, but says there are limits to storing food and eating those holiday leftovers.
Don't let it go more than 3 days to eat that fresh product. They're good up to 7 days if the refrigerator is working correctly and you have the temperatures set at the right levels for that product.
And if you feel sick after eating food that may have been left out too long or gone bad, he says you should take symptoms seriously.
But if you start feeling symptoms, consult your doctor right away. Don't let it go too long. Don't say, well, it'll pass, because you may risk into running into a greater problem, end up in a hospital, or possibly die as well.
Hopefully you like the gifts you got this year, but if you didn't, returning them could be a pain. Coming up, we're sharing some tips if you plan on sending your gifts back to the store.
And we've got another warm week ahead of us, at least considering the time of the year. High temperatures will remain above average, as well as low temperatures. And speaking of low values, let's take a look at our allergy forecast showing off low levels across the board. Check out JohnDBrayMD.com for more information if you need to. And stay tuned after the break for a look at our warm temperatures and possibly some more strong winds coming up.
And the Houston Texans go for 2 wins in a row as a heavy underdog at home. We'll show you how they did right after the break. Stay
It's the final days of the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event. Your last chance to get the best deals of the year on Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling trucks for 44 years straight. Only a few more days to save on our full lineup of Ford SUVs. Hurry in. It's the final days of the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event. Now get 0 for 66 and up to $1,000 bonus cash, plus complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass rewards on select Ford SUVs at your Texas Ford dealer.
Morning. It's 6 a.m. here on 109.3.
Thanks.
And we're going to keep the music going with another
Good night.
one from
Night.
Start your day with a bacon, egg, and cheese biscuit paired with a $1 small premium roast coffee.
The Capitol riot was one of the most disgraceful displays in U.S. history. Fox News is a different place than it was when I was there. When I was there was a discipline.
See why America's watching, and even our competition's watching.
Sean Hannity just texted me. He's been watching the interview I just did with Bill O'Reilly. He's bothered by the fact that I was saying that he was minimizing January 6th. Sean, I'm going to look up to see if there's anything else out there.
Newsmakers turn to the fastest growing cable news network, News Nation.
We can't help what you do before you go to bed, but we can make sure the sleep is solid once you finally get there. And during the New Year's super sale at Denver Mattress, the more you buy, the more you save. Save $100 on every $1,000 you spend. Or purchase a Tempur-Pedic and get a $300 gift. Check out the Summit Firm for only $249.99, plus 5 years no interest and free shipping. Here's to 365 nights of better sleep. Happy New Year from Denver Mattress.
Chevy is taking people lots of places this holiday.
We're going sledding! We're going to find the perfect tree. We're going to Nana.
Let your Chevy dealer take you there with Chevy Red Tags, where the price you see is the price you pay.
Happy holidays from Chevy.
Find new places, find new roads. Very well qualified buyers may also be eligible to get 0% financing on all Silverado Crew Cab pickups. Plus, you may qualify for $500 bonus cash when you find your red tag, or use that bonus cash to get $1,750 total value on this Silverado.
This week on Wheel, you're feeling festive. Christmas is almost here.
You can barely contain yourself.
Which means you know who,
Did I hear bells?
is near.
You've been good, right?
I've been good all year.
On Wheel.
Watch Samantha Smarechniak and meteorologist Ryan DePhillips at 11:30. Now, your ABC Big 2 local weather authority forecast. We warn you first with Chief Meteorologist Chase Menendez.
Well, good evening, everybody. We've got some very, very breezy conditions in store for us here in West Texas. So get ready. It's going to be another windy week. You can already see a lot of cloud cover moving around the Lone Star State, pushing in from west to east. And that's a very important detail because our winds are moving in that direction. It's also pushing a lot of hotter, drier air our way. So even though we picked up a lot of cloud cover, you can see making some really interesting cloud formations out to the west on the satellite and radar loop, even though we see a lot of that cloud cover, not a whole lot in the way of rain chances are coming through because here at the surface it's just really dry due to this westerly wind. You can see it's still 12 miles per hour now for Odessa and Midland, though most of those wind gusts have begun to calm down. So good news there. However, out to the west, the Guadalupe Pass now seeing some very strong winds, and as we continue through the evening hours, they don't really let up too much. So we are going to see those gap winds returning in the Guadalupe Pass. So if you have any truck routes or any plans to be in those locations throughout the rest of this week, basically, make sure to be careful driving through there. Now, as we head to the basin, though, notice winds are calm for tomorrow morning, but once we get to the afternoon hours, those winds pick up to about 15, 20 miles per hour. They don't let up for too long, at least. Once we get into the evening time, the sun sets, we'll start to see our winds back off, at least mostly. Guadalupe Pass still maintaining those gap winds, even as we head into Monday evening. Once we get to Tuesday, though, those winds pick up even more. Now, notice that westerly wind direction is still maintained, so temperatures are going to be on the very warm side. We'll be backing off down into the 50s to begin the day, and yeah, it's December, so these are really, really warm temperatures that we're seeing and that we will see for the rest of this week. Now, we could actually pick up a little bit of rain as we head into our Tuesday morning. However, rain chances are not going to be very high, again, thanks to that westerly wind. It's pushing a lot of dry air our way, keeping our rain chances down, even though we do get a lot of cloud cover and a little energy in the upper parts of the atmosphere. We still don't really have too much in the way of rain chances. Notice some light shower activity moving into the northern basin, and as we head through the evening time overnight Monday into Tuesday morning, we do pick up some very, very slight chances for showers. Now, that'll be moving out, tracking off down to the south and east as we continue on into Tuesday, though we could see a little bit of rain south of I-10. So here in the basin, we're not looking at any rain chances really tomorrow, more so tomorrow evening into Tuesday morning. That's when we get our next best chance for that rain. We will still see a little bit of cloud cover out there, and a fairly strong breeze, about 10 to 15 miles per hour is what we can expect sustained, but those winds are going to be gusting a little bit stronger than that mark. And as far as temperatures go, it sure is going to feel very nice for these next couple of days. We're at 67 right now. Notice our low temperatures not that cold, and as we continue into the afternoon time, we see our temperatures pick up into the 70s. Very, very nice temperatures, and that'll continue through most of the week. It's going to be the winds to watch out for, though. Tomorrow, about 15, 20 miles per hour. Pick up some slight rain chances on Tuesday morning before sunrise, and then those winds really ramp up on Wednesday, about 25, 30 miles per hour there, before calming down Thursday, and then we pick up some more rain chances on Friday. Actually, some thunderstorms. So it's been a little while since we've seen that rain. Hopefully, Rob and Stephanie, hopefully we can get some of that rain here in the basin. We need it.
Oh yeah, I know. It's been a big drought, but I'm looking forward to some rain.
Yeah. Well, I have to say, Chase, it's not car washing weather either, so
that's right.
Hold that off for a little bit more.
Yeah, that's true. But hey, we'll keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we can get a free one from Mother Nature.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, thank you, Chase.
Thanks.
Well, this year, holiday sales are expected to rise compared to last year. And when there's more gifts, there's more returns.
No, that's absolutely right. If you're going to be one of the many people returning gifts this year, ABC's Morgan Norwood has more tonight on what you should know before you head out the door.
Well, if you didn't get what you were wishing for this holiday season and you want to return some of your presents, the good news is that this year, retailers are being more generous with their return windows.
But this year and last year, due to the pandemic and the increased need for flexibility, we saw those holiday return windows starting even earlier and getting more generous, encompassing gifts that were purchased as early as October.
About 30% of presents purchased online are returned each year, and retailers are now making it easier to return those gifts too.
In a lot of cases, you can return gifts that were purchased online in-store to a retailer's in-store location if you're more comfortable with that, so that it can be a lot easier for people rather than having to figure out how to ship a gift back.
When you're ready to return, here are some tips from Consumer Reports. If you unwrap a gift and you know you want to return it, don't open the box. If the original packaging isn't intact, stores may refuse the return or charge a restocking fee of 15% or more. Keep your gift receipt if you get one, and if you don't have a gift receipt or the original receipt, stores may not let you return the item, or you may get store credit instead of cash back. Check the return policy of the store carefully. Retailers have different return windows, and some specific items may have shorter windows. Experts say the week between Christmas and New Year's is a great time to return gifts and maybe find a good deal on something else.
There's some really great sales going on right after Christmas. Retailers know people are going to be in store returning things, so they try to make it worth their while.
Morgan Norwood, ABC News, Los Angeles.
Now to sports with ABC Big 2's Avi Kargaloth.
Yeah, Avi, the Texans were big underdogs today, but made quite the impression on the field. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah, there was quite an atmosphere in Houston today. The Texans, they've had a rough year, to say the least. But you couldn't tell at Energy Stadium today. There were some recognizable faces in the building, a lively crowd, over 65,000 people in attendance, and they're coming off a win against Jacksonville last week. The Texans, they actually had a chance to start building a winning streak. So let's take you out there to Energy Stadium. Justin Herbert for the LA Chargers, their opponents, top 4 in both passing yards and touchdowns. How about Simone Biles in attendance, supporting her boyfriend Jonathan Owens, 50 Cent. He's in the building, in the box. So a loaded crowd here in Houston. First quarter, Texans down a field goal. Rex Burkhead taking this one to the outside, diving to the pylon, in for the touchdown from 25 yards out. Burkhead finding the end zone. Nice extension there from Rex. Texans up 7-3. To the second quarter we go. Chargers, they're down 1. Justin Jackson, he will go right up the middle, scoring from 17 yards out. Chargers take a 12-7 lead after the missed 2-point conversion. Later, second quarter, Texans down 2. Herbert has time, goes deep, and he gets picked off by Owens. That's his first career interception and a clutch takeaway in the red zone. So Simone Biles got to witness her man getting an interception. Big takeaway there. Under a minute left in the half. Davis Mills, what a throw to Chris Conley from 41 yards out. Texans lead 17-12. Yeah, pump those fists. A big celebration there. Texans up 2 here in the fourth quarter. Rex Burkhead, a 1-yard score, his second of the game. A career high 149 yards in the ground for him. Texans up 9, but the Chargers aren't done yet. A touchdown here from Jackson going up the middle for 9 yards. 27-23 after the missed 2-point conversion. Texans up 9 late in the fourth. Herbert trying to rally a comeback, and he's going to be picked off by Tavier Thomas, who will take it 48 yards to the house, a pick 6. And the Houston Texans win big, 41-29.
Big-time red zone.
Well, we're right in the thick of college bowl season, but the bowl schedule, it got a little bit lighter. It was announced earlier today that the military and Fenway Bowls have been canceled because of COVID-19 issues with teams who were supposed to play in those games. Boston College was set to face East Carolina in the Military Bowl tomorrow in Washington, D.C., but they had over 40 players unavailable. The school said it did not have enough players to field a team because of COVID-19 issues, among other things. Also had season-ending injuries, opt-outs, and transfers. Virginia was preparing to travel to Boston to play SMU in the Fenway Bowl on Wednesday, but had a number of players test positive for COVID-19 before they left. These cancellations made it 3 bowl games that have been called off due to COVID-19 issues. The Hawaii Bowl between Hawaii and Memphis was scheduled for Friday, but had to be called off due to COVID-19 issues throughout Hawaii's team. And guys, we actually just heard there may be a 4th game affected. Miami of Florida had to pull out of their Sun Bowl against Washington State on New Year's Eve, but we still got games coming up this week. Texas Tech and Houston playing on Tuesday. Stephanie, I know you're excited about those Cougars.
I'm super excited. Go Cougs. That's all I could say.
Go Cougs, yep.
Well, thank you, Avi.
Something special launched into the skies over the weekend, and it wasn't Santa. Coming up after the break, we show you the rocket launch that might reveal some secrets here in the universe.
Citron's Used Auto Parts is 24 acres with thousands of used parts for early and late model vehicles. Why buy new when used will do? Citron's Used Auto Parts has ready-to-use motors, transmissions, and body parts, along with standard 30-day warranties. Save money at Citron's Used Auto Parts in West Odessa on Business 20 between West Loop 338 and FM 1936. Call Citrons today at 432-381-2401. See how you can save money and get your vehicle back on the road. 432-381-2401.
When the hands that do the fixing need fixing. When the hands that do the caring need caring. That's a job for O'Keeffe's Working Hands. It's America's #1 selling hand cream and guaranteed relief for extremely dry, cracked hands. Also available in O'Keeffe's for healthy feet.
Are your schools and office buildings healthy?
I'm Daniel Shelton, CEO of PC Automated Controls. For more than 25 years, PC Automated has installed hundreds of smart energy solutions to create healthier schools and office buildings while saving our customers millions. Call us and get informed about how your school or office can be smart, healthy, energy-efficient building. PC Automated, smarter buildings made simple. Get informed, get an assessment today, and call PC Automated.
It's the final days of the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event. Your last chance to get the best deals of the year on Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling trucks for 44 years straight. Only a few more days to save on our full lineup of Ford SUVs. Hurry in. It's the final days of the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event. Now get a new F-150 with 0 for 66 and $500 bonus cash. Plus earn complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass Rewards. Only at your Texas Ford dealer.
We're your local weather authority. We warn you first. Our team is working around the clock to keep you and your family safe. What you need to know on ABC Big 2 News. Get ready for your day with meteorologist Ryan DePhillips.
There was something special in the sky this Christmas weekend, and it wasn't Santa's sleigh.
Well, we have... You know, there was such an alert.
It was two UT Austin astronomers are leading this research project, and they hope it'll tell us more about the origins of the universe. Our Caitlin Carmute has this report.
Humans always have been innately curious about the world around them.
We often talk about it like it's the next Hubble.
Astronomy professors Steve Finkelstein and Caitlin Casey say this telescope you see here, it's called the James Webb Space Telescope, and it's 100 times more powerful than Hubble.
The Hubble Space Telescope.
Premier space telescope since the 90s.
It's a much larger telescope, which means we'll be able to see objects that are much fainter, much further away.
Casey says Hubble primarily works at wavelengths of light that you and I are sensitive to.
But JWST is sensitive to light that's slightly less energetic in the infrared.
Infrared light travels much further and isn't as easily blocked by objects in space, which means it would allow us to peer through the clouds of gas and dust in our own galaxy where stars are being born today. Time travel, as some may call it.
And what we're trying to do here with JWST is actually see what those earliest galaxies looked like at the time that they were first forming. So it's sort of the first page of the story of the Milky Way galaxy.
It's not like everything's in the clear immediately after launch.
The telescope is folded up like a piece of origami in the head of the rocket. Casey says it has to unfold just perfectly in order to do the job.
There are actually over 300 single-point failures where that unfolding process could potentially have a mishap.
Its final destination, about 1 million miles from Earth, which is roughly 4 times the distance to the moon.
But I think the most exciting thing that's going to come out of JWST is the questions that we did not even know how to ask right now.
While there's no shortage of holiday cheer this year, there's high demand for Santa. Up next, we tag along with Santa Claus as he makes house visits in one Texas town.
ABC Big 2 Sports, brought to you by Glasheen Valles and Enderman Injury Lawyers.
Chevy is taking people lots of places this holiday.
We're going sledding! We're going to find the perfect tree. We're going to Nana.
Let your Chevy dealer take you there with Chevy Red Tags, where the price you see is the price you pay.
Happy holidays. from Chevy.
Find new places, find new roads. Very well qualified buyers may also be eligible to get 0% financing on all Silverado 1500 Crew Cab pickups. Plus, you may qualify for $500 bonus cash when you find your red tag. Hurry, red tag bonus cash ends January 3rd.
The only New Year's party live in Times Square.
With performances by Avril Lavigne with Travis Barker, Karol G, Macklemore with Ryan Lewis, Journey. Plus, right before the ball drop, LL Cool J hits the stage. Dick Clark's New Year's Rockin' Eve with Ryan Seacrest, live on ABC.
The Village at Manor Park is a continued care retirement community that offers dozens of independent living floor plans. Plus, there are various levels of care if your needs are to change. At Manor Park, you'll find peace of mind and great amenities that will improve your quality of life. Yard care, trash pickup, and food service are just a few. Plus, Village South is complete. Live in a new home across from our community center. Manor Park. Live well and love where you live.
It's the final days of the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event. Your last chance to get the best deals of the year on Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling trucks for 44 years straight. Only a few more days to save on our full lineup of Ford SUVs. Hurry in. It's the final days of the Ford Get Holiday Ready sales event. Now get 0 for 66 and up to 1,000 bonus cash, plus complimentary maintenance through Ford Pass Rewards on select Ford SUVs at your Texas Ford dealer.
Next Jeopardy! 13-day champ Amy Schneider is making history.
You are now the 4th highest earning player ever in regular season Jeopardy.
Will it last?
Still anybody's game.
Santa Claus put on the red suit and loaded up his sleigh for house visits in McAllen this year.
Yeah, and Santa, this was in high demand. ABC's Tisla Hampton shows us how the jolly old man used social media to deliver gifts.
Santa has the bells. It's the sweet chiming of bells that welcomes us to the holiday season.
Look at this. Look what I got. Did you want one?
Yes. There's a simple answer to why after 10 years of putting on the red coat, this Santa Claus still greets children running his way.
This little girl came up to me and she was 6 years old and she says, Santa, all I want for Christmas, sorry, all I want for Christmas is a teddy bear. Things like that, I do it for the kids.
Around the country, some companies who find jobs for Santas are reporting major shortages. Even this Mr. Claus had to put up his hat last year because of the pandemic.
I didn't play the Santa.
But at 66, his tradition is back.
Merry Christmas.
As some are feeling more comfortable now that there's a vaccine.
She posted it on the internet and all of a sudden we had like 50 hits in an hour.
After his wife posted Santa was available, they had over 160 requests in less than 2 days. They also wanted everyone to feel safe, so they decided to change out their sleigh for 4 wheels to visit families at their home, helping them capture the perfect picture. I think I got some good ones. These are the moments missed.
What do you guys want for Christmas?
Can I please have a football in an airport? No matter how old they are.
Bouquet of mixed flowers from H-E-B.
It's a question he's never too tired to ask.
What do you guys want for Christmas?
The real present not found under the tree, but in the meaning behind Christmas.
In this epidemic that we're having, there's hope for people to get together for Christmas.
Put in local first. I'm Talisa Hampton.
Coming up after the break, Chase will have one last look at forecast.
Stay tuned.